Hello, good evening, everyone. Jason here with Face Shift Games.
Scott Smith, designer of Dungeon Drop and upcoming Drop Drive.
Upcoming Drop Drive. All right, we should be good and live. If someone on our live stream could just verify you can hear both Scott and I correctly, that would be great. In the meantime, let's start. I'm really excited about tonight because we're really starting to now get into the inner engines and workings of this game, Drop Drive. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we showed you that really innovative tool, the nav tool, which is another huge part of this game. But now we're going to really dig. It's like, what do you do with your ship? You know, with the nav tool, you're navigating around, but what does your ship actually do in the game? That's kind of what tonight is going to start being about.
Yeah, I've also gotten a chance to actually be using our nice prototype nav tool lately, and I've been having a lot of fun with that already. It's not the final plastic type and all that, but it's already a lot of fun and a step up from the trusty stream.
I might have mine right here if we need to pull it out and show people. It's somewhere close by. Anyway, normally we just dive right into Drop Drive, but just to breathe for a moment, I know I think it was the 4th of July weekend, which was last weekend, I myself was able to get a full game day in with some friends, with my wife and some local friends. And love to hear, like, what games have you been playing? I know you've been play testing Drop Drive a ton, but besides what's keeping you busy? And I know you also move around from house to house all the time. You got vacation homes and everything.
As we were just talking about this, I'm a teacher, so it's summertime, big summer vacation with my family. So we do a lot of traveling around. I'm a different location at our house up in Vermont right now, so enjoying summer really thoroughly right now. But yeah, it's good times.
So for us, last weekend. And I posted a bunch of pictures out on Instagram, and now I probably can't even remember half. We played probably 9 or 10 games. It was an awesome game day, and it was like so rare since, a year and a half of COVID and not having anyone over to just be able to kick back and relax and play a lot of games. So I'm going to try to remember some of them. I know we played Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising, which is, I guess Rising is now a line of games. They have the Star Wars Rising, or Dark Side Rising, and they have Thanos Rising. And we've been huge fans of Thanos Rising for years. And this is now like the Harry Potter version, where Voldemort is the big bad and all the Death Eaters. And we beat it! And that was the first time we ever beat Voldemort. It was awesome. So that was a fun game. And what have you been playing? I'll try to remember the other games in the meantime.
Yeah, the tail end of the pandemic, I was really forcing it through. And in my arts department, I have another good friend. We'll play games, and I was looking for ones that would really withstand going back and forth, having different turns that were really spaced far apart in between our classes we were teaching and stuff. I think we played some Suburbia, Five Tribes, Small World, all great over the course of weeks, just taking turns back and forth. And then most recently, Quacks of Quedlinburg is a family favorite, love it every time. And I've been playing Fox in the Forest, nice little game with my wife. Just 2-player trick-taking, fun one. And Settlers of Catan is when I play with my parents and my brother, that's a go-to. So we always play that.
Oh, that is so interesting. You say, obviously it's a classic. Probably the most classic of the current board game revolution. That is the, often attributed to restarting board gaming. It's interesting because that one, we tried to play it again not too long ago, and it did not take to the audience.
Was it new people?
No, I'll be honest. My wife has a real problem with the robber mechanic. She thinks it's too cutthroat and too, take that, and it's not her style. And so whenever she plays, she'll put the robber like purposely way over in the corner of the board that doesn't affect anyone. But then other people don't play that way, and so then And it's
Yeah.
also a highly random game.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't, if the rolls don't go in your favor,
Oh.
it can hamper your fun.
Yep.
That's
Yep. And
interesting.
every time we play, even though it's my family, my close family favorite, my father inevitably, the dice are broken in some way, every single time. But it's very interactive. I will say that. Like, even if it's
Yeah.
talking about the crappy dice rolls or just the trading at the table. When I'm with my close family, it's just all the table talk, and it's a good game for table talk. It really is.
Yep. I'm actually a huge fan of Starfarers of Catan,
Oh,
the
yeah.
space
I've never
version. I don't recall if it has a version of the robber mechanic at all. I think it might not, actually. But it's also just much more like that 4X kind of expansion and go anywhere in this universe and meet up with alien races. I like that version a lot.
Yep.
So I was just looking at my Instagram feed from last week. So the other games that we played were Sagrada. That is a huge game for us. We all absolutely love Sagrada. And we have probably, I don't know how many expansions there are, 3 or 4, but we've got them all in there. And that's still, it adds a little bit of complexity, but it's still manageable, and it's just the brain burn that happens with that game. The set collection is awesome. And we started up Machikoro Legacy. So I'm a big fan of Machikoro. The Legacy one was something I kept eyeing, and finally said, you know what, let's do it. And it's fun.
Have you been enjoying it? I play Machikoro with my daughter sometimes. Nice light one, but is the Legacy? Are you a fan? I've heard mixed things.
Yes. Now we've played a couple Legacy games at this point. We did Charterstone. We did part of Gloomhaven. That was too deep. We ended up departing from that. But no, this is what I expected it would be. It's the game of Machikoro. It starts with a slimmer deck, and then as you go, you're unlocking new cards to put into the deck. You're choosing which cards go in, which cards are going to never go in, so you're kind of like customizing the flavor of the deck. But then they also build in, and this is what I heard really good things about, they build in some other ancillary rules that are all just on a simple rules card, and it's not hard. It doesn't make it harder to teach new players. It's just slightly different from the way you'd play normal Machikoro.
Yeah.
What I understand from the big reviewers like Tom Vassell and Dice Tower folks is that this is actually probably the best version of Machikoro. Even after you get through the Legacy, you then have this fully playable game, and it's probably more enjoyable than almost all the other versions. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not that far, but so far we're loving it.
I think I just heard they're coming out with a second edition.
They
too.
are. And they have the fifth. They have the fifth. They have the 5th edition, and now they're coming out with Machikoro 2.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how those two are different from one another or not.
Yeah.
And they have the Machikoro. Yeah. So they keep going, which I guess is good.
Yep.
I'm seeing also we played Sheriff of Nottingham. That's a classic. We love that. And Steam Park. I love Steam Park.
Oh, that's what I've always wanted to play, Steam Park.
It's a yellow game, and I keep forgetting that it's yellow. So, like King of Tokyo, put out by Yellow, but it's just got those 3-dimensional roller coasters and these little robot figures and such. It's a really fun theme park style game.
Well, that was originally the same company that did Dungeon Fighter.
Is it?
I'm trying to remember them, but anyway, yeah, no, that game's had a journey, I guess.
All right. Well, with that, and we actually played a couple more, but let's get on to the topic of tonight. Hey, Lewis, good to see you, and other folks joining us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube Live. Thanks for joining. So, let's get into our topic for this evening. We'll switch gears, talk about Drop Drive. Now, tonight, we're going to get into... sound quality is dropping, Lewis is saying. Let me see if there's something I can do, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I was looking away. So far, the bars that I'm seeing on my screen look accurate. So, Lewis, tell us if it completely fails. Otherwise, we're going to keep going. The levels that I'm seeing look appropriate. All right, So, Scott, What were your so we're going to get into the economy of the game today. And someone else is saying the sound seems okay on their end, so hopefully it's all good. We're going to get into the economy of the game. Obviously, in this case, you're a privateer and you're out to get space bucks, whatever we call the space bucks in our game. But you want to get as many of them as you can, and there's lots of ways to do it. So we're going to start getting into the economy of the game. But what were your design goals when thinking about the economy system, just kind of overall for this game? How'd you go about it?
I guess the two big things I'd say. One, I knew we wanted Drop Drive to fall within the realm of kind of this spatial game territory. We started with Dungeon Drop, and I knew from the get-go that you would have a ship that would be navigating the table in this one. So I knew the economy had to move you around physically in a very spatial way, and I think that that probably drove just about everything else. It's why the asteroids really in a lot of ways are a key core building block of the way the game works. The first thing that was kind of invented to go in the into the system, as you know, that immediate instant collection of nodes on the table that cause you to swerve over here and swerve over there and pick up your ship and drop over to this cluster over there. We're creating other stuff that influences those decisions as well, of course. But this is the core that kind of makes it click right in the beginning. And then the other big thing is that I wanted to have some kind of interactive market that harkens back to some of these games I've talked about, like Gazillionaire, that I loved growing up, that just had a little bit of an interactive market of some kind that was changing. I thought of a lot of things originally. Should this game have a stock market or other things like that, or how dynamic to make the market. But in the end, I really came to that this is at its core a spatial movement game with these other layers added in. But that's the number one. So we can't make the markets too complicated, require too much upkeep, because that's just putting player attention where we don't necessarily want it to be all the time. So in the end, we have a market that is influence every sale that a player makes at a planet is going to affect that market for future players, lower the price, or even in some of the more asymmetrical markets we're thinking about for the final, possibly even raise the price for the next seller. But the key is that is part of the interactivity of the game, that we're watching each other and seeing what happens with these markets, what's the constant ongoing best place to sell, right? And where is that place? Another core thing is I definitely wanted each planet to have its own market, that I'd have a reason to fly across the system and travel to the planet of brine to sell oxygen to that very particular group.
So tell you what, let's back up for 1 second. So because we're going to get to planets, we're going to talk about all the things that happen on the planets. But I think one of the main ways to earn money, space bucks, in this game is mining asteroids, and you're kind of hinting at that already, right? So first of all, how does that work? So you're in space, you've got your spaceship, we've got our nav tool, and we're navigating around. Let's just kind of first level set for everyone. Okay. How does mining work first? It's meant to be a fairly simple and really spatial and accessible thing, right? We take that beautiful little nav tool that we've been talking about, we wind it into its very particular course, hold it kind of hovering above the tabletop, and you can see your flight path. Everything along your flight path you can interact with. Mining an asteroid is as simple as running your flight path across an asteroid, and as soon as you do that, you can scoop that asteroid up very physically, just like a dungeon droppy type thing. Just grab it, and instead of putting it in like a stash with your character,
even more physically, these get clunked right into storage hold spaces in your ship. And different ships have different numbers of these storage hold little squares. I love how the art came out, by the way. It's a really nice, satisfying feeling of putting something in it. You can upgrade that over the course of the game. And other stuff can potentially go in there as well. But it's really that simple of just if I cover 3 asteroids with my nav tool, and navigate that path, scoop all that stuff up, just grab it, plunk it into free spots. If I don't have enough spots for them, I can redrop stuff that doesn't fit. But yeah, mining an asteroid is that simple, and then it's a matter of where you want to deliver it.
So I pulled up on the screen here so everyone can see. This is some of our later artwork. So this is pretty close to the ship artwork. We're starting to really play now with the graphic design of the cards, meaning all the icons and the numbers and the names, so people can start to see how that stuff is working on these. You can start to see some of our icons that we're playing with. And still, those aren't even final icons. Much more color depth and such will come. But what you can clearly see here, I've got a ship front, I've got a ship back, and in this case there's even an upgrade in the middle. And what Scott's talking about are those cargo bay spaces. Now, most of the cargo bays for the ships are in the back, the ship back. And here you can see that there's 4 spots. So what Scott's saying is as you run over an asteroid, you're going to pick it up. It's a little crystal, and you're going to pick it up off the table, and you're going to plop it into one of these slots on your ship card where there's room. Now in this case, this ship front is also a very big and bulky ship component from, in this case, the Dusters culture, and it also has an extra cargo space on the front. So
that's right.
There'll be all sorts of different configurations of those.
All right, it's so fun to see this and be, as we have these little chats. One of the absolute joys of doing this work is every little piece, even just that cargo slot went through a number of iterations, and I love that journey produced a slot. Even this flat image has a lot of good depth to it. I love how the little lights, all these things were things we talked about to make it feel like, even if it did end up as a flat, flat card, that it would feel like it had a little depth, that you could put something in that slot. Probably a whole couple of days of just conversations about little tweaks to that tiny little cargo square.
Oh yeah, they started the art firm started with the little lights around the cargo bay. I think they were red at first, which might be more or blue or something. They might have been more thematic for a cargo bay. But
yes, right.
Because colors in this game, there's different color asteroids and they mean different things. We needed something neutral, right? So yeah, all the thought process that went into making that cargo bay look clean, consistent. You notice that every single one of them looks the same because it's a functional game component, and so it needs to be hyper
clear.
See it
right away.
It's not just artwork. Yeah, that's your spot to put stuff. And so even across the 5 different cultures of the different ship technologies that are out there, the cargo bays will always look exactly the same. So there's no question. Yeah, lots of thought goes into that. So anyway, so you can pick up asteroids and you can plop them into your cargo bays. What else are cargo bays used for?
Well, for example, you can pick up a piece of space salvage, a little chunk of metal, bit of a destroyed spaceship or something like that you can grab and throw in these cargo holds as well. That can be delivered, and it's sort of I don't know. I almost think of it like bringing some little magic item in Diablo back to the town, and then you take it to the little guy to identify it and find out what's inside. That basically is the process here. It has something in it. Could be a little creature. It could be I guess a rescued passenger, or even a little upgrade for your ship.
Love it. And then is there one more thing?
Well, we are talking very much. I'm more hesitant to talk about it because it is the thing that I am working on the most right now, and it's sort of fuel for your cargo. I'm sorry, for your drop drive. So It's something I think has a lot of potential to lead to some interesting new movement possibilities in the game, but definitely still working on it right now. Anomalies, we're gonna see how that fits into this as well. So we'll see the final tail end of the design here, but yeah, that's definitely the core at the start.
All right. So, we're a privateer and we're trying to make money in this universe. So, we picked up asteroids. Maybe we picked up space salvage. Maybe you game design fuel into the system. We'll see. And maybe there'll be other things in the future. But I've got a cargo hold full of stuff now, right? And I'm gonna go to a planet. So I'm gonna change this image and I'm gonna flip over to a planet image, which again, folks, please keep in mind, complete prototype
Are you gonna show mine?
Yeah, and graphic design. This has not gone through any graphic design yet.
Stuff.
But it's it's going to be a good talking image as we go, because Scott's going to start describing now. When you bring your ship, you've hovered over and you've picked up a bunch of stuff in space, and now you fly towards a planet, and you're going to orbit the planet, right? Which means either putting your ship right adjacent to it or on top of it. And now we land, and this is kind of like, there's a lot going on with it. This makes sense, right? You know, in any kind of space exploration game, a lot of it's going to have to do with finding these interesting planets. This is just one of them, and it's one side of a two-sided planet, right? Yeah. So, Scott, take us through what happens when we land our ship.
Right. Well, here, and caveat being, this is Jason's taken my absolute current prototype image here. This is what I have used yesterday. But yeah, and the idea would be that this planet card would also serve as essentially your player aid, because there is a lot of stuff to do when you land on a planet. That is kind of, space is where you adventure, but when you land at a planet, this is where you kind of process everything. And we want it to be, again, really clear, easy, accessible, how to go through these steps. There should be fairly quick steps, but you kind of do them in a particular order. So some opportunity to charge up your drop drive, deliver your passengers, and I know we'll be talking more about some of these cards later, but essentially you can carry passengers on your ship that want to be delivered to particular planets, so they can be dropped off here for various rewards they'll give you. You can identify your salvage, and that's what I was just talking about. Find out what it is that you lugged back from the depths of space. And then it comes time to actually get into the market, and you'll be selling asteroids. You can see, for example, this planet here, there are two colors of asteroids, two types. In this case are asteroids that have plasma in them thematically, and ore are the two types of asteroids this planet wants. There's a demand for it there, and you would be selling, in this case, you'd be selling for, you'll be selling for the highest showing available price of, in the market. So for example, the yellow ore one there, you'd be able to sell yellow asteroid for $5, 5 credits. But the next person to come to this planet in this model would drop all the way down to $3 for that same yellow asteroid. So obviously it keeps a sort of track of the sales that have been made in the system, and that affects things accordingly. It'll even be tied to our game end trigger. And then the very last thing you see down at the bottom has to do with our pirates, which actually kind of launch from particular planets. So this is kind of a nice reminder right there, that after selling asteroids, you check to see if this pirate is on the planet. If he's on there, boom, he gets warped into the system to go after his own things. This guy's obviously hunting down our green bio asteroids.
All right, so let's. So first of all, I actually want to give people a little bit of a glimpse into the lore because a lot of work has gone into the lore of this universe here. So this is you see up at the top the name. This is the Mechanid homeworld. So Mechanids are one of the 5 cultures in our game, and this is like a insectoid, a mechanical insectoid race, right? And so they have, you see the image behind here, it's this green, like tunneled through planet, like the insectoids have tunneled through and dug out all the, the biomatter from inside of it. And you can see some of the blue techie kind of things showing. That's their mechanical side or their technological side, holding up the superstructures of the planet. So this is important because the Mechanids, the lore behind it, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, because this is really your brainchild here, is that what they need to continue to sustain their mechanical growth and technological growth, they need ore above all. They need that physical matter because they've hollowed out their world. And so those yellow ores are the most valuable thing for them. And then plasma, for whatever that next reason is. So, yeah, is that roughly what's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think about them like, I think about like carpenter ants that like carve up some piece of wood. They've done this to their planet. They literally like build themselves, right? They'll build each other very physically. So what would they want more than just plain old raw material, the ore that they need to literally not only build the things that they, like a spaceship, but literally repair themselves, build their own child. So yeah, ore is number 1 for them.
And so each planet will have a different like primary resource that it's looking for. But then there may be, it's not always necessarily. What's that?
Yeah, just 1 or 2 others as well, probably.
Right, exactly. So it'll be kind of dynamic as to different planets have different weights that they place upon different types of resources and look for. So as Scott was explaining, the market, so this is an important aspect. If I have a cargo hold full of, let's say, 3 yellow and 2 pink asteroids. So I've got 5 asteroids. I got 3 yellow and 2 pink. This is a great planet for me to go to. When I land on Hive, those 3 yellow asteroids, if I'm the first player to ever land here, the 3 yellows all sell for 5 because it's during the turn. They're all worth this. They're all worth the highest amount showing, and that's 5. And then those 2 pinks that I have are worth 4 each because pink, the highest, is 4, right? So I get 15 for the yellow plus another 8 for the plasma. And now there's I think you call them demand tokens. And so the idea is that after my turn, after I sell those, I block those 5 and 4 spaces because I sold yellow and I sold pink. Now if I only sold yellow, I only blocked the 5 yellow spot.
Right.
Because that's all I sold. So now the next player that goes there will get 3 for their yellows, but they would still get 4 for the pinks. So the demand tokens, and I think that's what you were saying, they're tied into that end game system as well. Right. So there's a pool of these demand tokens, and once a certain number of them have been exhausted or used, then the game end triggers.
Yeah, basically demand gets low enough in this system, you sort of reach game end. Yep, that's absolutely it. And so basically you've got, a very simplified market, but still the tension of a race, right? Of where you want to get, when you want to get there. That was the core that had to be there. So yeah, we're just looking to streamline it as much as we possibly can to just make this real smooth going through these processes as you hop in and off of these different worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, as we've said a number of times before, keeping that accessibility of the game, keeping this game intended to deliver the experience of a sandbox game, but for a much wider audience than what something like Firefly or Zaya or Star Wars Outer Rim. These are games that take 90 to 180 minutes to play. Drop Drive is a 30-minute game, right? So it's meant to be faster, super intuitive, super easy, and accessible. And
Yeah, another point I would say to go along with that is like this came up in another one of our discussions. Remember around the way the pirates work, and in Dungeon Drop, the huge monsters. That upkeep is tough in a game, in these types of games. You have all these cool ideas, and in this, like I remember early design of this. I was thinking, oh, maybe the sale of something over here could affect all the planets, and more complex ways that they'd interact. But that all involves upkeep, right? I needing to check everything again, and I definitely wanted to land on a system where you could stay 100% focused on where you were.
yeah, I think I remember this dialogue that we had back with Dungeon Drop with the huge monsters, and the difference between an active ability and a passive ability. And I still feel that was a brilliant decision to say that we will not, as much as we both wanted to, in so many cases, build in a passive ability for some huge monster. We said no, no, no. Because what that means is, in the case here of a planet, when you go down the planet, you're triggering things to happen. So when you hit that pirate, you're triggering the pirate, and it says right there what it does. That's an active ability. Whereas a passive ability would be, oh, whenever someone sells a pink asteroid to a planet, that pirate in space over there has to do some special maneuver, right? That kind of a passive ability works great in digital games, and it works fine in sprawling, very time-intensive board games, like probably Twilight Imperium does a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know, I've never actually played it, but we chose not to do those kinds of passive abilities here for that express reason, right? So it's so straightforward what happens each time. And who knows, maybe different expansions will actually break that rule someday. We still haven't with Dungeon Drop after 2-3 expansions now.
Yeah.
Even with the 5-player and cooperative mode and everything else. But
and I think there's some core design space, and I think both of us know this again with the anomalies, which are going to occur less frequently, but might be able to have some more wide-ranging effects. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about anomalies, and I can't wait to develop and design anomalies with the audience when we get to the campaign.
Yep.
Oh God, there's so much. I mean, yes, that's another topic. So we kind of touched on the pirates here at the bottom, and again, graphic design this is all just placeholder for now. But so Scott mentioned that if you go to this planet and you're the first player there, then the pirate is still there. Literally, their ship is sitting on the planet here. And so if the ship is there, you take it, you drop it in the system, as Scott said. Now you activate all pirates. And that's just the standard rule whenever you get to a planet and you get down to the pirate section. If there's a pirate there, you launch it, and then all pirates do their ability. And so this one here, you'll notice, it says right here, they're meant to be very simple and straightforward. Basically, that little arrow means like move to the closest green asteroid, and then it takes that asteroid and places it in this white box on the spot. So it's like the bounty, or it's it's the what they've stolen from the system, and they put it right on this card here. And what that means is that any player that defeats that pirate collects all the stuff that it's acquired. In this case, it's going to be a bunch of green asteroids. Other pirates are after other things, and some of them work completely different. But it'll always say right there how each one works. And
Yep.
That's what's...
Yeah. No, we definitely want it. Really clear. And it's not. They aren't always. All the pirates aren't always in the system too. So it might be that it's the signal to check, what pirates are out there. Those pirates move. So it might just be that there are two that need to go about their business. And then the more frequently, one cool kind of thing about this that came out of it was how many pirates there are in the system is sort of up to the players. If you are doing a lot of business but not doing a lot of tracking down of pirates, then there could be a lot of pirates in the system temporarily gobbling up some of the asteroids and stuff like that, even kind of taking passengers hostage and stuff like that. So uh, and their value increases as you allow them to roam. Or it could be that people are like taking, it's a lawful system. People are just taking these guys down as fast as they pop up, but that's a choice of the players. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then when you do defeat a pirate, you get their stuff, and then the pirate token goes back to their planet of origin. So the token goes right back on the planet. So now the next player to go to that same planet will re-trigger it going back out. Right? Yep. So yeah, it's definitely like dynamic, organic feeling. Players are in control of what really is happening. Yeah, really cool system. Oh my god, I can't count the number of permutations that we went through of the pirates. Yeah. They were cards in a deck, and then they were different. Yeah, then there were little square tokens, and yeah, bunch of different versions.
Yeah, it's a journey, always.
As always, folks, if anyone has any questions for Scott or myself about anything that you're seeing, or anything else for that matter, if it's part of a future topic, we might say we'll hold on it, but let us know if you have any questions or thoughts. Let's see. So I wanted to give an indication of what things are still to come. So actually, is it even on here? Charge. So we don't have in this mock-up here, charge drop drive, deliver passengers, identify salvage. There's nothing yet here about exploring. So we need an icon on here that actually indicates that you also get to explore the planet's surface.
You're right.
And we're not going to talk about that much today, because the whole system of exploration it's a deck of cards, an explore deck, and it has 3 different types of cards in it, and we're going to deep dive into that on the next time we meet. And that's where you get your ship upgrades, your passengers that you deliver to other planets, your specimens, and so on.
Yeah. And that really, the Explore deck is, the absolute cores of this game are what we're talking about now, and the asteroid mining and moving around the system based on that. And the Explore deck is the other huge piece of this that we haven't talked about yet. So you're absolutely right. Whenever I make up these mock-ups, like, I explore a planet anytime I come to it, and it's not even on there. It's not even on this one. But yeah, so you definitely are going to get a chance to kind of land and find out what's there available for. This is where you pick up passengers and all that stuff. And the Explore deck is definitely something we're going to be talking about, because that's another huge piece.
And since the term anomalies was brought up, just to kind of tantalize people with some of what could come out of anomalies, we mentioned these, what are they called? The demand tokens, right? And there's like a pool of demand tokens. They go onto the highest spots on the different planet markets. Well, you could imagine some kind of time manipulation anomaly, a time rift, a temporal anomaly that's in the system that starts to mess with time and messes with the pool of tokens that's available. Or maybe it like moves the 1 covering the 5 and now it's covering the 2 instead, or flips them all around. Who knows, right? This hasn't even been designed yet, but these are all some of the ideas that can come out of the anomalies system, which is where wacky stuff can happen. And it's so cool to think about all the possibilities, because this is where we can pull in tropes from all the mainstream science fiction universes that are out there.
Right. And kind of the core mission here is to design a system, and I think this goes into whenever we're chatting about the design of this project, it is how to create a core system that absolutely works as the game we had envisioned, but is also incredibly malleable, like a kind of a little playground, not just for playing the game, but designing within the system once it's created. And sometimes this comes right out, like when we're designing a fix for a really particular thing, like a problem with a passenger card or something like that. But we'll start talking about, well, we want to make sure that whatever system we create or whatever change we make here keep things as malleable as possible for the future. I think, and the way we'll write up the rules and stuff, it'll definitely be baked into it so that we really pave the way for as much of this cool stuff you're starting to talk about as possible.
And if folks, if you can believe it, we've shown you, this is our fourth, I think, live stream. And we've deep dived into different topics each time. And next time we're going to go into the cards, the Explore deck, which we haven't even fully explained to you yet. But literally, the rules for this game are on 3 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper currently.
Currently, that is true.
It is plus a title page, so 4. I mean, we're gonna shrink it down to the the dungeon drop size rule book, of course. So it's gonna turn into a little bit longer, but like it's not hard. And that's the beauty of it's what you're saying, right? It's consistent, it's extensible. It's just coming up with the core that works so sublimely. Like it just everything comes together in a succinct manner that is extensible and malleable to work for all these crazy other things that we can think about, but it's based on that simple core, and that's awesome. I think as a publisher, I think that's a sweet spot. I think that most publishers are looking for. It's getting to that nirvana. All right. Any other thoughts on this subject matter for tonight, Scott?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome. I take a quick moment since we're coming up. Where are we? June 11th, July 11th, August, September. So yeah, it's like 2 months. So it's not terribly long from now that we will be at Gen Con. So con season for the first time in almost 2 years. We're gonna be gearing up for. We're going to be at Gen Con. I say we. It's Phase Shift, and we have some other volunteers. Scott won't be joining us for that one, but hopefully the next one he will. And so we have Gen Con in September. We've got Essen, Germany in October. We've got PAX Unplugged in December. And that's in Philadelphia. So those are the 3 big ones that we're planning on. And oh my gosh, if even one of those 3 actually happens, I'll be thrilled, because like we've been going for a year and a half. Last year was our year with Dungeon Drop to be at conventions in front of our audience and fans with the game, and we lost that opportunity. So we are so stoked for this fall. So I'm mentioning this to everybody because we definitely want to know who's going, what you're looking forward to. We hope that you'll come and check out our booth, and we hope that we'll have the expansion with us for Dungeon Drop Too Deep, the Wizards and Spells expansion, the Tavern Tales standalone game. We hope to have, see if the timing works out, but we hope to have all of that with us for all 3 of those big conventions. And one of the things that we're just now working out is we're probably going to have a Shifters evening. One of the nights of Gen Con where we have a local game store / cafe, and we're going to have a catered meal brought in, and they'll have a bartender available to basically just have a fun game evening with a full hot meal during one of the evenings at Gen Con. I can't wait for that kind of thing to happen. So it'll be a ticketed event. We'll provide more information about that sometime soon. And get some registrations out for those tickets. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, let us know. One of the things we need to do is gauge the level of interest and how many people are going and interested in that, because that will determine how many seats we reserve with the place that we're organizing this with. So should be awesome. Play games with yourselves, play games with us. We'll teach you our games. We'll play our games with you. We'll play other games with you. Let's just have fun in one of the evenings at Gen Con. Have a nice Italian meal and some beers. So looking forward to that, and all the other cons coming after that. So
yeah, it sounds amazing. And I know just from that one con we got in before the pandemic. It was so much fun, and we have the projects we've got are not the easiest ones always. I mean, we've done a good job, I think, trying to translate them into the digital world, but they're really tactile games. So the sooner we can get back to playing them with people, the better. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, for folks who are familiar with Tabletop Simulator, I think about this game, Drop Drive, and as hard as it was to get Dungeon Drop into Tabletop Simulator, this one's harder because it has all the same drop stuff, but now it has the nav tool, which is you have to be able to jigger this thing in up to 135-degree angles. It would have to be custom built by somebody not me, because I don't know how to do that.
It's tough.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Lewis, thanks for sticking with us, and it looks like you're excited about all those great things that we were talking about, and awesome. So it doesn't look like there's any questions. I think we're gonna call it for tonight. Super exciting to be doing this with you all. Thank you for joining us, and Scott, once again, thank you for taking all the time that you are doing the testing and getting in front of the community. So more to come, folks. The next time around, we'll dive into the Explore deck. So thank you all so much.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.